landed among the camps and the hospitals in the rear. Why do you think that occurred? What covers a battlefield? Smoke. What do you see? Nothing. So the Confederates were missing with their shots. They were firing too long. Only about 200 out of the 10,000 Union soldiers that were in this position got hurt in that massive bombardment. Only 200. So the Union artillery and infantry is relatively unscathed by this massive bombardment. Union generals did a really smart thing. They stopped firing back. That led the Confederates to believe they've knocked out all the Union artillery on the ridge. At 3 o'clock, the Confederates came out. It took them about 25 minutes to come across this ground. They were under heavy artillery fire the whole way across. But the casualties didn't really mount till the Confederates got to the road. When they got to the road, the Union artillery switched from the long-range ammunition. What do you think kind of ammunition did they use? Canister. As soon as the Confederates got to the road, the Union artillery switched to canister. One of the Union officers here in the angle says he sees a red mist coming out of the road. We know what the red mist is. Blood, his bodies are being blown apart by canister rounds, and the blood is being tossed into the air above the gun smoke. Now this battle becomes very desperate, and the assault begins to falter. Also along either side of the road, you see the rail fences. They had to crawl over the fences. Because the fences, normally when you get 9,000 or 8,000 men pushing on a fence, what happens? It goes right down, right? Well, this fence didn't go down. So they had to crawl over it. That allowed the Union infantry now to stand up and start to throw their gunfire down into the road. That's about 300 yards down to the road. Union infantry is now firing. Well, the Confederates launched a charge, a bayonet charge up from the road. The Confederate charge initially stalled about 50 yards from the road because the two leaders in the front line of Pickett's division are both shot down at that point, General Kemper and General Garnett. But the second line of Pickett's division crossed the road, and that's led by General Lewis Armstead. He's got his hat on the end of his sword like this, and he's yelling, "Virginians, come with me, we're going to give them the cold steel, boys." That's a bayonet charge. And he breaks the Union line with about 250 of his men right near the monument underneath the tree. They get as far as the little scrolled marker where Armstead gets mortally wounded. Right there, he gets shot down. About 60 Confederates make it through the clump of trees, and they approach Captain Andrew Cowan's cannons right behind the clump of trees. Captain Cowan was waiting there with double-loaded canister, 6 cannons double-loaded with canister. Where the Confederates got within 10 paces and he opened fire. He killed them all in one shot. Armstead's down. Most of Pickett's division have been shot by this point. Confederates are coming across the open ground here. They get as far as the little tan marker, reddish marker over here, and they're stopped cold right there. Colonel Alexander Webb, his statue's behind us. He wins the Medal of Honor. He rallies his men where the road is now, runs down into the clump of trees, rallies the 69th Pennsylvania. 7 bullets went through his coat in the 50-yard run. He survives and becomes the Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army after the war and wins the Medal of Honor for his action. Oh, Webb yells, "Forward, boys, down to the wall." The whole Union line charges from the road to the wall, repulsing the Confederates, then the Confederates begin to run back across the field. And that pretty much ended the battle. There was a cavalry fight east of here about 4 miles away between General Custer and General Stuart, but General Custer actually wins and drives Stuart from the battlefield. That night, Lee begins a retreat back over the mountains back to Virginia. And it took him about 10 days to get back to Virginia. The Union Army pursues slowly, doesn't catch up with Lee until the 13th of July, and we'll tell you the rest when we get back on the bus and head back to the visitor center. Any questions? Okay. That's what